Hello everyone, today we will explore a touching story about a father, his initial doubts, and the journey that changed his heart. James' father, a tough man, initially rejected Diep because he believed she was with his son for money. However, over time, Diep's sincere care and attention to the family, especially to James and his grandchildren, gradually changed his perspective. Then, a special moment when he saw his grandchildren playing, he realized the genuine love Diep had for the family, and his heart softened. Follow this emotional story and don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss out on our next interesting videos. James' father is a man who is strict and full of principles. He has always lived by clear guidelines and is not easily swayed in his opinions about anything. When James decided to marry Diep, a woman with a poor background and a past marriage behind her, he could not accept it. In his eyes, Diep was not only an unsuitable woman for his son but also a poor choice, one that would not bring stability to the family. From the very first time he met Diep, James' father judged her by her past. He couldn't accept that a woman with a previous marriage, who lacked a solid family foundation, could bring happiness to James. He thought Diep was only with his son for the money and safety that James' family could provide. Whenever she tried to show care and concern for him, he saw it as just a tactic to build a relationship for material gain. He felt uneasy about her motives and couldn't believe that the love Diep had for James was genuine. Whenever the family gathered together, James' father kept his distance from Diep. He didn't join in the conversations, nor did he share in the joy or warmth of the moment. Every time she made an effort to talk or do something for the family, he responded indifferently and coldly. He didn't appreciate Diep's efforts, thinking she was only doing it out of obligation and couldn't truly love his son in a sincere way. The unease inside him grew with time. Although James seemed happier with Diep by his side, he still couldn't change his opinion. He felt that Diep was not the right person for the family and could not accept a woman with a past marriage stepping into his son's life. He noticed the changes in James' attitude, but his heart had not yet opened to her. The doubts continued to linger, making him unable to trust the relationship, even though his son always expressed his contentment and love for Diep. James' father was not easily convinced to change his views, and to this day, he could not accept Diep. Even though time passed and others could see the positive qualities in her, he still couldn't trust that her love for his son was genuine. His heart remained closed, unable to embrace her, and his skepticism continued to be the shadow that hovered every time he looked at her. As time passed, Diep proved that she was not only a devoted wife and mother but also a thoughtful daughter-in-law, always taking care of everyone in the family, especially James' father. At first, he still harbored doubts about her, but gradually, it was Diep's thoughtful and caring actions that began to change his perspective. Every morning, when the whole family was still asleep, Diep would wake up early. She quietly went to the kitchen and prepared breakfast for the whole family. Not just simple meals, but she always made sure the meals were nutritious and delicious, both visually appealing and tasty. She paid close attention to everyone's preferences. For James' father, who rarely expressed his feelings, she always made his favorite vegetable soup every morning. Even though he never said anything, his eyes couldn't hide his appreciation when she brought him his bowl of soup. She also prepared James' favorite dishes, ensuring he had enough energy for his busy day. With her own children, Jack and Emily, Diep was always a loving and attentive mother. Whenever her children needed help, she never hesitated to lend a hand. Diep not only cared for their physical needs but also took the time to talk to them, answering their questions about school or simply sharing their joys and sorrows. She knew each child's routine, their studies, and personal interests. When her children struggled with their studies, she patiently sat by their side, guiding them through their lessons and encouraging them to persevere. Not only did she care for James' children, but Diep also paid great attention to his father. Although James' father rarely expressed his emotions, she knew how to understand and observe him. Whenever he felt tired or troubled, Diep would gently inquire about his well-being. Even if he declined her help, she would quietly assist with small things, like bringing him medicine when he was sick or preparing meals that would be easier for him to eat. Though he always maintained a cold demeanor, she knew that he deeply appreciated her care, and this was her way of showing love and respect for him. With James, she was a wife who always stood by him in every circumstance. No matter how busy James' work was, she always found a way to be his partner and support him without tiring. Diep constantly sought ways to care for James, from preparing delicious dinners for him after a long day at work to creating relaxing evenings together, watching movies or talking. She knew how to keep their love fresh, even after many years together. It was Diep's thoughtful care for every member of the family that gradually changed James' father's perspective. He couldn't help but notice the love and attention she gave to everyone, especially during tough times. Whenever he felt sad or unwell, she was always there, ready to help without complaint. Her patience and dedication to James and the children made him gradually realize that not everyone would sacrifice so much to take care of a family. Through everything she did, Diep not only took care of his son but also helped preserve the bond between the family members. And in every action, in every small gesture of care, James' father began to change his view of her. He no longer felt anxious or suspicious about her motives. Instead, he began to feel the love and sincerity she brought to the family, especially to him and James. Her sacrifices, though simple, were meaningful and had touched his hardened heart, making him realize that she was an essential part of this family. One late afternoon, as the golden sunset began to bathe every corner of the yard, James' father sat alone on a bench on the porch, gazing at the garden. As usual, Diep and the children, Jack and Emily, were playing in the yard. The children's bright laughter echoed, creating a warm and loving atmosphere. This scene made him feel a sense of relief, something he hadn't felt in a long time. He watched Jack, his oldest grandson, playing soccer with Emily, his youngest, the cheerful little girl. The lively movements, the joyful laughter of the children made him smile. In his eyes, the innocence of the children reminded him of James when he was little. Both children had similar traits to James, from the way they smiled, spoke, and their playful, carefree gestures. A feeling he couldn't quite describe surged in his chest as he saw the resemblance. He realized that, Although they were from the next generation, his grandchildren had inherited the best qualities of James, and this realization warmed his heart. When he saw Diep sitting beside the children, taking care of them, he couldn't help but feel the sincerity in her actions. She was not only a mother and a wife but also a loving caregiver for the family. She helped Jack and Emily with their games, encouraged them to learn new things, and always kept the family atmosphere full of joy and connection. Seeing Diep's thoughtful care for his grandchildren, he felt a significant shift within himself. It was in that moment, as he saw the joy in the children's eyes, that he realized he had been wrong to doubt Diep's love for the family. What she did was not for money or personal gain, but out of genuine love for James and his children. He thought back to the times when he kept his distance from her, when he didn't believe in her words or actions. He felt regret for not having seen things clearly, for keeping his heart closed and focusing on the wrong things. The change in his thinking had been gradual, but this moment was truly a turning point. As he saw the connection and harmony within his family, he understood that the love James and Diep shared for each other and for the children was real. It was not a love based on arrangement or calculation, but a sincere, lasting love. That realization made his heart soften, as if all the doubts of the past had faded away. One day, when the family was gathered together in the living room, James' father called James and Diep over. His voice no longer carried the coldness or doubt it once did. He looked into James and Diep's eyes, and with all sincerity, he said, "You and Diep, I truly apologize for opposing your marriage. I failed to see the love you have for each other, and I didn't recognize the good Diep has brought to this family. I was wrong." His words, though simple, were like a cool rain soothing the scorching summer heat. Diep and James looked at each other and smiled. Their hearts, as if soothed, felt the warmth and change in the father's heart. It was a moment when their family became more united than ever, as misunderstandings and doubts were cleared away, allowing love to blossom in each heart.
Bài thơ đồng chí: quê hương anh nước mặn đồng chua, làng tôi nghèo đất cải nên sỏi đá. Anh với tôi đôi người xa lạ, tự phương trời chẳng hẹn quen nhau. Súng bên súng đầu sát bên đầu, đêm rét chung chăn thành đôi chi kỷ. Đồng chí, ruộng nương anh gửi bạn thân cải, gian nhà không mặc kệ gió lung lay. Giếng nước gốc đa nhớ người ra nính, anh với tôi biết từng cơn ớn lạnh. Sốt run người vầng trán ướt mồ hôi, áo anh rách vai, quần tôi có vài mảnh vá. Miệng cười buốt giá, chân không dày, thương nhau tay nắm lấy bàn tay. Đêm nay rừng hoang sương muối, đứng cạnh bên nhau chờ giặc tới, đầu súng trong treo. Bài thơ đồng chí được sáng tác vào đầu năm 1948, sau khi tác giả đã cùng đồng đội tham gia vào chiến đấu trong chiến dịch Việt Bắc Thu Đông năm 1947, đánh bại cuộc tổng tiến công quy mô lớn của giặc Pháp lên chiến khu Việt Bắc. Bài thơ là một trong những tác phẩm tiêu biểu nhất về người lính cách mạng và văn học kháng chiến chống Pháp từ năm 1946 đến năm 1954.